So you have like 4 piles. Hello all, after a much needed break, I'm coming back to this channel. There'll be quite a few changes moving forward. I'm not really talking about those right now, but I'm here for a good reason. Those of you who follow me on Instagram probably noticed that I've been to the UK recently. I was there mostly for professional reasons. I was attending the Dickens Symposium, which was simply amazing. I might talk a little bit more about that here later on if you're interested, but I did make a post on Insta about that, and there's some more content coming up about the symposium. But today I want to talk to you about some of the books that I brought back with me from London. London is probably the best place, or one of the best places in the world, for those who love buying books. Some of the world's greatest and grandest bookshops are located in London, and certainly my favorite bookshops in the world are located in London. Obviously we have Waterstones Piccadilly, but I always kind of surprise my friends when I tell them that actually that's not my favorite Waterstones. My favorite Waterstones is Waterstones Gower Street, because it has the best Waterstones cafe, and because it has 5 floors worth of books, and it has secondhand books, it has a lot of academic books, so it is the perfect place. Obviously it's very close to Birkbeck, to the UCL, so there's a reason why for those a bit more scholarly minded, perhaps it might be the best Waterstones. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's go back to books. So I have quite a few piles around myself right now. I'll try to do this in an organized fashion. I wanted to show you which book I bought in each place. I wanted to organize them chronologically, which I didn't. They're a bit haphazardly spread across my desk, but that's fine. I think I'm going to embrace chaos and show you some of my choices, some of the books that I actually picked for myself, some of the books that somehow came my way. So I'm going to start us off with All the Beggars Writing, which is a novel by Lucy Caldwell, who is one of my favorite writers in the world, contemporary or not, but she is a contemporary Irish writer. I wrote a little bit about Lucy's novels, and more specifically about where they were missed in my PhD thesis, and she kind of stayed with me since. I admire Lucy so much. She's a great writer, a great short story writer. I have another work by Lucy somewhere around here, so maybe I'll show you that one next. But she's very famous for her short stories. But she actually started her writing career. Oh no, stop calling me. Okay, let's do not disturb. Okay, sorry about that. So Lucy actually started out as a novel writer, the novelist, but she's extremely famous for her short stories for good reason. So she has 3 collections out now. So I'm going to show you the other book by Lucy that I actually purchased on this trip, not in London actually, but rather in Cambridge. In the middle of my Birmingham trip, I got in a train and went to Cambridge because there was this authors event with Lucy Caldwell. For this one, which I actually have already read, I pre-ordered this at No Alibis, a indie bookshop in Belfast. So I actually read this, but it was out in paperback, so I can now read it in public transport a lot more comfortably. And of course, Lucy signed this for me and wrote a beautiful message for me. So yeah. Okay, so we have 2 Lucy Caldwells. For those of you who are interested in Irish fiction, in fiction about women, about women's bodies, about the ways in which women occupy and take up space in the world, about motherhood, about girlhood. So Lucy Caldwell is the author for you. And I feel that oftentimes people don't read enough short stories. I think that oftentimes we drift towards longer fiction. So yeah. So if you like novels, all the Beggars Writing. If you like short stories or maybe want to experiment a bit, Openings is here for you. And I have several favorites in Openings. There's a short story titled Daphne, which was on BBC Radio a few months ago, and I absolutely love it. But I really like the title story, Openings. I like Daylight Raids. So Lucy is amazing. You can do no wrong with her. So yeah, 13 stories, and there's actually an extra story in the one that I bought months ago that I pre-ordered. So yeah, read Lucy Caldwell. And there's a beautiful blurb here by Lisa Magee. So a masterful writer. Yes, she is, absolutely. So let's put these two away and move on to the next one. So the next one is actually Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge. I actually saw this play at the Royal Haymarket Theatre at Piccadilly. So with Dominic West and an amazing cast. I was so taken aback. I saw that play on the day that I arrived in London, and I was so exhausted because I didn't manage to get any sleep during my 11-hour flight. There were a lot of children, and obviously the children couldn't get any sleep. They were kicking my chair. Anyhow, I didn't really get any sleep, so I was exhausted, the whole thing, right? Getting out of the airport, the Piccadilly line, checking in. So I was very tired, but I was completely enthralled by this rendition. And actually the foreword, I think it's the foreword here, or actually it wasn't in the foreword. The foreword here is by Philip Seymour Hoffman, but in the program for this play, which is somewhere around here, where is it? Yes, so here he is, Dominic West. They were talking about the fact that Arthur Miller is extremely popular and like evergreen in London, that London maybe appreciates him even a bit more than Americans do. There are so many revivals. Only Shakespeare apparently has more plays being reinterpreted and getting new seasons in London. So yeah, this was really, really great. And I actually have seen a lot of Arthur Miller plays in London. I've never been that big of an Arthur Miller fan, but I think I'm slowly turning into one because I've seen quite a few plays now in retrospect, at the Old Vic, at the National Theatre, the Olivier, I think. Yeah, there are a lot of Arthur Miller plays in London all the time. So yeah, this was obviously a joy to read. I read it in the day following the evening when I saw the play, so it was really cool to like follow the play text and revisit the choices the director and the actors made. So yeah, so my favorite corner at Waterstones Piccadilly is actually the drama section. So this is from there, and we have a photo of Arthur Miller looking quite fit actually here. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, since we are talking about theatre, this is the play text for People, Places and Things, which is such a brilliant play. I had been hearing a lot about this for a long time in like theatre Twitter and all the theatre West End websites that I follow, and everyone had only like rave reviews for this play, and it really, really is amazing. So this play is about Emma, this woman who is an actress, or an actor rather, and she's going to rehab and she doesn't want to be there, and she's suddenly forced to confront all of the things that led her to addiction and trauma and the very difficult relationship she has with her parents. and people, places, and things refers to the elements that you are told you have to avoid throughout recovery, and if you want to actually recover and stay recovered. So you have to avoid the people, the places, and the things that connect you to the lifestyle that you had as when you were actively consuming alcohol or any kind of drug. So the play is kind of about that, and it's really, really good. I had such an amazing time. I wish I could unsee it just to see it again, and it's at the Trafalgar Theatre, which is a venue that I really, really love. So there you go, another play. I'll try to organize them back here by like genre or whatever. So moving on, I actually bought this one. I've been buying a lot of books on writing because I love to write, and this is something I've been trying to take more seriously, or rather to take myself more seriously, creatively speaking. And I've been reading a lot. Some books are brilliant, some others are not that great, and of course I also know that different things work for different people. But this is a really good one. I haven't finished it yet because I bought it in I think it was the second to last day that I had in London, so I actually had to pack this because I couldn't take too many books in my luggage. So yeah, I've been enjoying this very much. It's very in your face, right? Read this if you want to be a great writer, but it's really structured, which for me helps quite a bit. And I have also bought this one. I think this was at the National Theatre shop, which is a place where I always spend way too much money. They have such a wide variety of plays and books related to theatre in some kind of way, and this is about playwriting, a backstage guide. I haven't started on this one yet, but I have another one that is published with this National Theatre thing, and it was really, really good. It's somewhere back there. I don't remember the title of it, but it's fine. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is not really a book. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to leave these ones last. So okay, we have The Fraud by Zadie Smith in paperback. This is another example of a book that I absolutely loved and that I already had. I actually pre-ordered this at Waterstones many months ago, and I have it signed by Zadie Smith, but then I got to Waterstones on my first day and it was signed by Zadie, and it's such a beautiful cover. And this is actually the novel I was talking about at the Dickens Symposium, because Dickens appears here as a character. So I was talking about Dickens's influence on Zadie Smith and his portrayal as a character. So I couldn't I couldn't let go of the opportunity of having another copy. And as I said, it's a lot more comfortable, right, to take this kind of book with you to the beach or in public transport. So yeah, this one I can recommend 100%. Okay, in our novel pile. So I have this one, which is not a novel and not a short story collection. This is titled Jane Austen and Her Art. This is an academic study. This was actually published by Mary Lascelles in the 30s or 40s? 30s, 1939, and this is a landmark in like Austenian studies. I actually had already read this book through library access on PDF, but I found this at Judd Books, which is one of my favorite secondhand bookshops. It's in Bloomsbury, and I couldn't leave it behind, so I just had to bring it back for my Austen shelves. So yeah, I'm excited to revisit this one. Very happy to have it. So it was such a great contribution by Mary Lascelles. So yet another pile here for academic stuff, but I think this was actually the only one academic book, yeah, I think so, that I brought home this time. So let's move forward to this one. I actually have a video of me shopping for Brazilian books at Waterstones Gower Street, to see just how easy it is, because I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and she was saying she lives in London. She was saying she doesn't really know much about Brazilian literature, and it's like, yeah, I mean, Machado de Assis just became kind of viral on TikTok recently, but I get your point. But if you know what you're looking for, you'll probably have an easier time finding it. So I thought that was an interesting effort, and obviously she had already heard about Clarice Lispector, and she's a Brazilian writer. She was born in Ukraine, but she identified and saw herself as a Brazilian. She wrote in Portuguese. She lived all her life here. She came to Brazil when she was two, I think. So yeah, this is a collection of her short stories, actually all her short stories, in this Penguin Modern Classics edition, and they have a lot of her works, or maybe all of her works, published in these Penguin editions. I have quite a few of them in my own personal library, but I had such a great time reading, because of course there's an element of like analyzing the choices the translator makes. I think she's probably one of the Brazilian writers that is most well known in the UK. So there you go, another short story collection. Please do read Clarice, and I pronounce her name as Clarice Lispector, as we do in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese, because otherwise I feel that it would seem like an unnecessary affectation. So I'm going to show you the other Brazilian books that I bought. I didn't actually buy Brás Cubas, which is a novel by Machado de Assis that was available there, but I got Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which is like a seminal work for like teachers training, for pedagogy, and obviously education. Anyone who is training to become a teacher will kind of hear about Paulo Freire at some point, and this is a huge reference here in Brazil. Huge source of contention with weirdos who talk really weird shit about Paulo Freire, but he's mostly embraced, I would say, here, and it's great to see that he's also embraced throughout the world, I would say. So this is another Brazilian who is published by Penguin Modern Classics. So there you go. Okay, so this will go in the non-fiction pile with creative writing and academic stuff. And the third one, so as I said, you can easily find, if you are at Waterstones Gower Street and you want to buy a book by Machado de Assis, it is available in the section that is dedicated to classics, so you will find him there under the letter M. So Crooked Plow was nominated and was on the long list for the International Booker Prize. It didn't actually win, but I really like the cover. I don't know the name of the artist, but I feel like I should mention them here because it's such a beautiful cover. Yes, Torturado. Okay. Yeah, I'll just write it down because I can't find it here. Maybe it's in the back. No. Anyway, great example of a contemporary. I wanted a contemporary reference as well, so Crooked Plow, and I really want to read it in English. This made a huge splash in Brazil as well. Itamar is a huge name right now here, so it was great to see him getting some recognition. Obviously, there are so many great writers from all over the world that are nominated for the International Booker. But it was still really great to see him getting nominated, and I love what they did with the cover, honestly. Look at this. And I actually was looking for this, and I checked the Waterstones website. It said that they had plenty of copies at Gower Street, and I absolutely couldn't find it. So I asked the bookseller for help, and she was so great and attentive, and she actually couldn't find it either, but someone else, another bookseller, found it in like mere seconds. So this is also a testament to how great like bookshop culture is in London. It is impossible to go into a bookshop and not, I don't know, become friends with at least one of the booksellers, and to, I don't know, I feel that they are very caring, very helpful. So if you can't find something, ask. Okay, novel pile. Moving on. So there are these really cute Salinger editions by Penguin. I hadn't seen them yet. I don't think they're that recent, but I really like these. So it says here 2019. I don't know. So they're all published in these kind of template. So we have The Catcher in the Rye, and I got Franny and Zoe because I feel like I hadn't read this in ages. So I started reading it one day when I was writing, working on an academic thing rather, and I just stopped and started reading this, and it's evergreen. I know Salinger is not everybody's cup of tea, and I know that a lot of people started getting into Salinger because of Sally Rooney, because she talks a lot about specifically Franny and Zoe. But I really love him, and I really want to read The Catcher in the Rye again, because I remember being like 13 and reading it for the first time. And no, again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but yeah, it was like one of those moments that stay with you. So yeah, great. I think I'm putting it in the novel pile. It's not exactly a novel, is it? Anyway, so I'm gonna show you the books that I got. Let me put them all together. The books that I got at the London Girls book club events. Some of them were gifted to me, some of them I actually bought. So I'm going to go through them with you as yeah, this one is at the bottom. So I think they're all here now, are they? Yes, nearly. There's one more actually. So let's start from the last one. Great. So I haven't read this yet. I actually have a book from Sayaka Murata that I was gifted in my birthday. A friend actually gave it to me. It's Convenience Store Woman, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't really get a chance to read it yet, but now I have two, and I'm so happy because actually I got this at a book swap from that was organized by the London Girls book club, and 2 or 3 other book clubs actually that are based in London. And I hadn't really had I didn't really have my books with me, so I went to Waterstones and I got a romance novel that I thought maybe people would enjoy, and I swapped it for A Court of Thorns and Roses, I think this is it, which is a book that my students are always asking me to read, but someone else came by and was really keen on having that one, and so we swapped. And the book that she swapped for A Court of Thorns and Roses was actually such a strange little book. It was a romance novel, and it was apparently very tragic, but it had these kind of cringy descriptions, like she had bee-stung lips. Like, is that supposed to be a good thing? So someone very helpfully actually swapped that with me for this, which I'm very excited about. So this goes on my TBR pile I'll come back when I have read both, maybe, and I'll tell you guys what my favorite was. I realize this video is getting very long, so yeah, if you're not that interested, I can completely understand, sorry. So let's move on. So my first event was actually an author's event. I didn't actually go to the book club itself because of like the dates. It didn't really work for me, but I went to 3 events that were organized by the book club, which were brilliant. Everybody's so nice, Caitlin's great, everyone's very lovely. And the first one was this author's event, which was maybe my favorite of all the things that I actually attended, because obviously it's so great to hear authors reading from their work and talking about their processes. So I got a book for each of the authors that were there, so I'll show them first. I actually wanted the other book that Kay Davies was promoting, but it was sold out. So I'm going to show you. So The Exes by Anand Iqbal. It's actually young adult romance, right? About the opposites ever really attract. And look at this cover, it looks really, really great, doesn't it? And she was talking about how she wanted the South Asian British experience to be represented in a truthful, complex and genuine way, which I think is brilliant, and I'm very excited to read this. So I actually got my book signed, which is so great. Look at this, I'm very excited to read it. So this is the first one. Let's put it in the novel pile, which obviously is growing very quickly. So the second one is by Hannah Doyle, The Pickup, and this was actually sold out as well, and I thought I'll just stop by Waterstones tomorrow and get it, and it was sold out at Waterstones as well. So I couldn't find this anywhere. I ultimately had to order it on Amazon, which I'm not proud of, but it was the only way. So she read a few sections of this, and I'm so excited to get to know these characters. So they're in their 30s, which is really cool because there are so many romance novels that are obsessed with people in their early 20s, or I don't know, sometimes we do have people in their 30s, but you are merely told they're in the 30s because they behave like they have just left high school. I don't know. This actually seems really, really cool. So yeah, as you can see, I have so many choices. I don't know which book I'm reading first. And then we have Nuclear Family by Kate Davies. And I'm really interested in how she portrays queer relationships, lesbian relationships in her novels. She talked a little bit about her process as well, and I love that the font is actually in a size that you can see. I've been talking a lot about this lately, so this seems like such a great novel. I'll come back and review this, hopefully. And it has a blurb by Sarah Waters. I'm always checking like the kind of writer and the people that I admire and the kind of blurbs they exchange. So the book that I actually brought to the book swap had a blurb by Pandora Sykes, and that kind of made me make up my mind to buy it. Anyway, okay, and when I'm traveling I kind of try to avoid hardbacks because they take up so much space in my suitcase, and I always end up buying too many books. But you know, you can see just how excited I was. So there's a lot of buzz around this one, Talking at Night by Claire Daverly. I haven't read it yet, blurred by Jojo Moyes, so you can tell it is a big deal. And I was actually gifted this, as well as The End of Drum Time and Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. These 3 were gifted to me by the book club, and so very excited to read them as well. Okay, let's move on. What else do we have here? Oh, this is not actually a book. It shouldn't be here, although it looks like a book a little bit. These are my programs for Romeo and Juliet. Let's continue with the books. So we have some Oscar Wilde. Let's move on to the Oscar Wilde section. Before that, I got Death of a Salesman. I told you that I'm getting really into Arthur Miller. I've read this, obviously, when I was in drama school many years ago. I read it quite a few times because this was one of those plays, right? So I'm excited to revisit this play again. Yeah. No. Yeah, where are my plays? Yeah, here. Great. Okay, so now on to Oscar Wilde. So let's move this one here. Move this that way. This is actually not a new book. Okay, so these two are quite heavy. Awesome. So you're not part of this, dude. Okay, Oscar Wilde. I've been working very closely with Oscar Wilde's works. We had a read-along of The Picture of Dorian Gray about a month ago. We finished on the 26th of June, so yeah, a month ago. And I've been reading loads, and I want to read everything this man has ever written and everything he has ever said, basically. And so I got this complete interviews edited by Rob Marland. So there are 2 volumes. So I just said how I try to avoid hardback books when I'm traveling. So I got these extremely heavy hardbacks, but look at them, they are gorgeous, and they are the complete interviews of Oscar Wilde. So I'll have a blast reading these in between my writing sessions. Not great font size, so but that also tells you just how much content is here. Yeah, can't resist Oscar Wilde, can I? Okay, so this is non-fiction, so I'll just put it in my Oscar Wilde pile. I also got his complete poems. I'm very interested in his poetry, which is kind of controversial in the sense, not content-wise, but mostly because a lot of critics, especially contemporary critics that were contemporary to Wilde, said that it was too derivative. So I'm trying to see it for myself, the kind of extent to which he borrows from others, and if that is a problem in any kind of way, because we do have, like, I don't know, The Ballad of Reading Gaol. We have some poems like by Wilde that are very well known, but most of his poems are not really read much at all, which is interesting. So yeah, it's such a beautiful edition. I get the reason why publishers choose oftentimes to put him on the cover, because he was such a gorgeous, wonderful individual. But then we have the complete short stories, which again I haven't read for a while. So I love the Oxford World Classics editions, because you always have such great introductions and extra materials, just footnotes, chronologies. So yeah, so I have 4 Oscar Wildes with me. There'll be a revival of The Importance of Being Earnest at the West End starting November with Nshuti Gatwa. I so wanted to be there. Unfortunately, I won't. But yeah, I really wanted to see this. If you are in London and you can go, please do. Okay, so another play. Whenever I see a play, I try to buy the play text. The only occasions in which I don't buy the play text is if the play text is not available. But this time I think they mostly were available everywhere. So Next to Normal is a play, and it's a musical, right? Which probably doesn't need any kind of introduction. I had a very good time. I thought that it was very Broadway. I'm still kind of getting used to that kind of production, and but I really enjoyed it. The performances were so great. The live musicians were incredible. The cast was just breathtaking, and I really want to reread this because you have the lyrics and you have the lines. So this, I saw Kiss Me Kate. I have the program for that around here, which is like a version of The Taming of the Shrew with Adrian Dunbar, who is one of my favorite actors ever. And I feel that this was more sung than Kiss Me Kate. I don't know if that makes sense. Everybody was singing most of the time. As I said, I'm not that used to that kind of musical yet. I was very anti-musical actually until I saw Oklahoma with Arthur Darvill last year, which had been recommended by Bernardine Evaristo. And so that's how I actually got into musical theatre, through this very stripped back version of Oklahoma. So I'm still getting used to the conventions and whatnot, but I don't want it to sound like I didn't enjoy this. I really did. It was really, really good. Just, I feel that sometimes people go to musicals and behave a bit poorly, but that's the case for any kind of popular, any kind of play that has too much of a hype. I feel when I saw A Little Life, and I hate and love to tell the story, there was this gentleman sitting by my side who was on his phone for the entire duration of the play, and he would laugh out loud as those very horrible things happened to Jude, which I've heard people say that it gets to a point where it's so tragic that it is a bit funny, in the sense that it's too absurd. But I mean, the guy was like going through really horrible things, and this man was laughing and I mean, why are you even there? I paid a lot of money for those tickets. And it's very disrespectful to the band, to the cast, to the whole people involved in the production, and to the people sitting around her. So that wasn't a musical, it was just a play that had a lot of hype around it, and sometimes those plays with a lot of hype attract people who are not necessarily that interested in the play itself. So there were a couple of people behind me who wouldn't shut up. They were commenting the play as it happened, as if it was something on their TV. But anyway, I really enjoyed this. I'm happy that I got to see it. I had heard such great things about it when it was at the Dolmar. So yeah. Okay. Theatre pile. Drama. Whatever. Anyway, so this one, Dance Your Way Home, is probably the one I'm going to start reading first. I've talked about all of these books that I'm dying to get to, but I'll probably read this one first, and I'm going to tell you why. I went to an event with Emma Warren at Faber the day I got back from Birmingham, and they had like something had happened. There was a signal failure, something at Birmingham International, and we were trapped like inside the train for like an hour. I don't know. There was a huge delay in leaving Birmingham New Street, and the train was boiling. It was really, really hot, and you couldn't leave because it could go without you at any kind of in any given moment. And then because I think it was because the network must have been all messed up, it was going very slowly. So I was supposed to arrive in London at 5 p.m. and I arrived in London after 6. So I needed to rush home in Marylebone, leave my bag, right? Change my clothes and go to Farringdon station to attend the event. And I was rushing madly through the street, charging like a madwoman, and I actually arrived only 9 minutes late. So I was so happy, and Emma was saying such incredible things about dancing, about being a woman, and about the kind of ways in which, as a woman, in the moment that you're not in your early to mid 20s anymore, people wanted to stop taking up space, stop moving, and if you're a mom, your children would tell you you're embarrassing them if you dance. And I had a great time like thinking through this, and she made this lovely dedication to me when she signed my book. So yeah, Dance Your Way Home, A Journey Through the Dance Floor. Really excited to read this. It seems very, very lovely. Okay, so non-fiction pile. Moving on, this one I actually got for a friend, but I do want to buy all of the books in this collection. I have I think it's titled In the Pond, and it's about Hampstead Heath, of course, the ladies' pond. And this one is in the garden, there's in the kitchen, there's in the river. I want to buy the whole collection, but this one I actually bought for a friend who is teaching a short course on literary gardens. So it's just a collection of essays, and I really want to get to this as well later on, but I'm buying the whole collection. I think this is getting published by Daunt Books, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is it? Yeah, Daunt Books. So this one I'm not reading right now. Okay, do we have anything else here? We do. Okay, you move here and you move there. So this is the play text for The Grapes of Wrath, which you can currently see at the Olivier Theatre, right? This was one of the last plays that I saw when I was in London. Had a great time. Excellent production. I actually have read Steinbeck's novel, but that was a million years ago. It's one of those things. I think I was at school still. So I need to revisit the novel after seeing that amazing performance. And I really like to, as I said, read through the play text after seeing it in performance. I think it can really help you understand theatre better. So yeah, it was adapted by Frank Galati. Okay, this one is for one of my best friends who is actually doing a PhD on essay writing. So it is a collection of essays by the goddess, also known as Zadie Smith. So yeah, this is going to my other friend. So I got Present Laughter by Noel Coward. I'm very ashamed actually to admit that I haven't read nearly as much Noel Coward as I wish that I did. So yeah, I saw the National Theatre live recording of Present Laughter with Indira Varma and obviously Andrew Scott, which was performed in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I remember I was heartbroken to miss it at the time. He had just played the priest in Fleabag, so there was a huge hype. There's always a huge hype around Andrew Scott, which is very well deserved. But anyway, I missed it. I wasn't in London at the time, so I had an amazing experience seeing it in a huge screen at Picture House Central in Piccadilly Circus. So I decided to read the play, to revisit it, and I really want to read more Noel Coward. Okay. Ella Hickson. I'm a big fan of Ella Hickson, and I actually read this book, which is called The Playwrights Manifesto, which mentions Ella Hickson quite a few times. So I really wanted to get into reading her plays, and I really like the way in which Nick Hearn Books publishes these groundbreaking authors, or dramatists, or playwrighs. Anyway, so I started reading it, but as I said, when I'm traveling, I start reading so many things at the same time, so I'll really sit down with a pen and a notebook and study the plays. And yeah, I think Ella Hickson is actually has actually adapted what was it? Was it Oedipus? And Indira Varma and Rami Malek are playing it. I think it's Oedipus at the Old Vic early next year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, another one not to miss. And what is this? Yeah, this is a very short introduction to Turner. I really love within Tana. Maybe that makes me a bit basic, I don't know, but I always go to the Tate Britain when I'm in London, and I go through the Tana galleries, and I always buy a book, usually a small one, and I always learn something new as just a fan, right, of Tana. Such an amazing painter, so quintessentially British in a way, in the best possible way. So I have 2 books which are packed, and I'm unpacking them with you very soon. I'm showing you what was actually the first book that I bought, which was Ways of Seeing by John Berger. I really like to buy art related books. They are very inspiring to me, and they really help me in my writing, my academic writing as well, even when they are not directly related to whatever it is I'm writing about. So the last one that I bought that was like this was I Paint What I Want to See. But yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So I have these 2, which I'm unpacking later on, but I can already tell you that they are Sally Rooney related, and they are packaged so beautifully. I think, yeah, the focus is still on my face. Please focus on them. So yeah, I got them obviously at the Faber sale. I also bought this. I already have the book. So, The Orange by Wendy Cope. So I got the pen. I also got 2 tote bags. I'm a huge fan of anything and everything Faber does. Okay, so I'm coming back. The channel is changing its name. I'm explaining in my community notes. I think this is like a Twitter thing, isn't it? But the little blog thing, I'm explaining where things are moving to, and I'm very happy to be back and to share some of my readings and projects with you moving forward. And I'll be more active on TikTok and Instagram again, not on Twitter probably, because I'm a bit of a lurker on Twitter. I don't really like to interact much because I feel like there's just too much weirdness. But yeah, very happy to be back. Thank you for bearing with me, and yeah, tell me what you thought of my choices, my bookish choices, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.